mud in my eye. Okay, so this is my third switch build. The bike is a 1999, so 20 years old, Kona stab, full suspension downhill bike. I've had this bike nearly 9 years now. I bought it from the Retrobikes forums for £220. They originally retailed at over 2,000. I think it was about 2,300. This has definitely been my trickiest build so far. The main problem is the unusual shape of the frame. It's very angular, very thick tubing, and so it doesn't lend itself to a pedal sensor and disc. I took the bike out with the throttle control only and it handles really well. The switch kit weight is less noticeable on this bike than the others I've built. I think it may end up being my favourite of all the conversions I do. The first issue was the space between the bottom bracket and the crank. For adding the pedal assist sensor, I thought I would get over this by having multiple crank arms that I could swap it with. Whichever one I tried still didn't have enough room for it. So then I set about making the pedal assist sensor smaller by taking off the hinge. I can put the protruding bits of the pedal sensor into the cutout and then glue it in place. So I'll be able to, once I've finished with this build, I'll easily be able to reassemble it and put it on another bike. I thought I had it sorted. I glued it all in place. I used Sugru in a similar colour to the frame. Everything was looking good, but when I actually tried it today, the pedal sensor was no longer working like it had been on my two other builds. Okay, so I just went out to ride my downhill bike and the pedal assist sensor doesn't seem to be working. Now, I've had a bit of trouble on this downhill bike because it's such a complicated sort of frame to fit it on because of all the full suspension and everything. But I thought I'd had the perfect solution. If you have a look how close it is there, you can see it's lovely and close. It doesn't touch, but it's close. And when the crank goes around, it spins around fine. I've got a bit of cable tie in there, and it basically makes this go around perfectly with the crank. But as you can see, the light isn't coming on. And if you have a look how close the angle is, it's pretty close. I mean, it could be a tad higher, but on my other builds, I haven't been fussy at all, and I've literally just put it on and changed the angle and had quite a gap, and it hasn't been an issue. I didn't think there would be an issue of it being too close, but as I say, it's not touching, but it isn't allowing it to do it. If I whip this off, you'll see. Let's pull. There we go. So now, if I pass the magnet in front, you can see the sensor lights up. So I know the pedal assist sensor's working. And if I get it right, it catches the magnet on this bolt. If I keep doing it, let's try it this way around. Yeah, so you can see that light. If I keep getting it to work, whoop, you can see the bike moves forward. So it's definitely working. I just need to maybe is it too close? No, because that's touching and rubbing up against it, and that's doing it. Whether something's moved in here or whether I just need to move this a tiny touch and then re-sugar it, which is nice. But anyway, video will come soon because I've had to do all sorts to this bike to get it to work. It was a much more complicated kit, but I expected it. That's why I didn't do it as the first bike, and I've got some easier bikes to do after this. But I'll let you know how I get on. But if you've got any hints or tips, I did see someone have put washers on, and I wondered if that would make enough difference. But the trouble is that because this is so close, there isn't really the room to put the washers in. And I tried various different crank arms, which I'll show in the video, and nothing really helped. But as you can see, the pedal assist sensor's working, but just not when I ride it. Oh, well, there you go. Yeah. So it is working, so I'm not worried about it. I just need to somehow work out why that's fussy in that position. Maybe I need to put it up that angle, which I probably could do. I don't know. There's a hole that the little I'll have to show a picture to show that. But there's a hole that the bit that attached to the original hinge bit, which I had to take off, goes into the hole because I didn't want to cut that off because I want to keep it on there for other builds. Okay, so it's already been sorted. Let's get some light on. Okay, so you can see here, I can mount it up here. Gonna have to sugar in a bit of glue in the middle, but that will hold all right, and then cable tie this a bit further around here so it's away from that bolt. But it's going to work, because if I turn it, you can see the light flicks and the bike tried to turn. There you go. So it looks like in the case of this it needs to be higher. The other mount looked like it was closer, but this needs to be higher. So the moral of this story is that if you're going to sugar and glue, just check that it's working before you do. Because obviously it takes a while to set and everything else. I mean, it's pouring with rain, but I was going to go out and do a little bit of video on this in the woods, but I'm going to have to glue this and then I'll be able to do it on another day. Anyway, you live and learn. So let's try. Tell you what, this worked well, having this double-sided. I mean, obviously it doesn't look particularly nice, but having double-sided here worked really nicely. What was it? It was like that, wasn't it? Yeah. Because even when I took the cable tie off, it didn't want to go anywhere, so I would do that again. Right, so that's where the glue's going to be, and then unless I just sugar it, I quite like the glue and the sugar together. It certainly was solid. And my other sugar is I think blue and yellow, so it's not going to be as elegant. But then it, as you know, I'm changing from bike to bike, so it's not staying on this particular bike. That's probably going to be clean enough to glue it on. Probably get a better angle like this actually. More of a gap? Yeah, more of a gap. The other issue I had was that the dropouts in the front forks were too narrow to take the axles. So I had to file down the forks for quite some time to get it to fit, and now it fits fine. Okay, so the glue should have set now, so hopefully when I take off the blue tack it won't pull off the pedal sensor. I've left some of the red on because there's no point in picking it off when I'm not keeping it on this bike because I've got other projects. There we go, that's definitely working. So as you can see from this, the angle looking straight at it, it's actually higher. I think it's higher than the centre is, but it's definitely working, and it wasn't before. There you go, so I just need to wait 24 hours for the Sugu to dry properly, and then I'm up and running. Okay, here we go, Nemesis 6. I don't generally, because this is such an old bike and I don't service the suspension, I don't really take this bike out much in the rain and everything, but in honour of the SWYTCH kit, which is looking rather dirty, I figured I'd do it, and it actually feels really nice. I wouldn't have attempted going up that hill with it being so slippery, but having all-wheel drive with basically my legs doing the back wheel and the SWYTCH doing the front one, it was great. Maybe once more up the slope. Can't believe this is the second time I'm doing this and I've got to clean myself off again because the first time the GoPro wasn't recording. So let's go, pedal assist 9 up the hill. Okay, that was really good. I'm not going to try cycling up there because that is ridiculous, but there is a bit of a slope further on here, so I'm going to try going up there and see how well it takes me up there. But it's so good off-road. It's really slippery in here, even with these chunky tyres. It is full-on slippery. If I show you the bike again. So slippery. I think 9's maybe a bit too quick for this bit. Woohoo! And the pedal sensor was still working.